way, and then we have the opportunity to have some fun discussions around social media. As a nonprofit organization, or whatever organization personally that you're involved in, social media is a must. If you are afraid of it, or you don't like it, or don't embrace it, then you are behind, certainly. So we want to just add some fun to how we do our social media work, and maybe offer up some tips and some best practices for how you interact on the interwebs. I am Kyla Williams. I'm from Smart Chicago Collaborative. I'm the Director of Operations there and part of the Time to Tech training team. And I am here with the superstar part-time librarian and cyber navigator.
Yep,
Action figure.
Brooks Porter. Yep, cyber navigator here at Computer Commons and librarian in my free time on the 6th floor. So.
Very good. So everyone's taking their pre-test, just so we can get a feel for who's in the room and kind of what you are expecting out of this engagement, so that we can make sure we're on target and we're not like, you know, a retweet is. We don't want to be boring to you. So if you could just go around and introduce yourselves and let us know one thing you're hoping to learn today.
I'm Jackie Carmichael. I work for Project Exploration. I'm hoping how to just better connect with our members and learn kind of an idea of what's the best way to use social media.
I'm Julie Wisnowski. I'm the outreach coordinator here at YouMedia, and I manage all of our social media, and we use just about every single one you can think of. So, and we have lots of different audiences, so I'm really interested in crafting messages for different types of audiences.
I'm Taylor Page. I'm a curriculum developer in School of Education at Northwestern, and I'm interested to get a better sense of who actually uses social media and the different kinds of views and how that breaks down with different age groups, so that you can kind of better target those audiences.
I'm Maggie Waldron. I work on the youth program with Henry Mann, which is based at Northwestern University, but also here in India. And I'm here, I guess, broadly to think about how can we figure out a relatively lightweight plan, because we have a really small team and we're already super busy, but we know that we want to do more with social media. But specifically, how do we write effective content?
My name is Henry Mann. I'm the program coordinator for Fuse. I guess one thing I'm particularly curious about is how different brands have used different platforms or differentiated what content they're releasing on different platforms to sort of the best ends.
I'm Michael Hannon, Alternative Schools Network, and our audience is kind of similar to you. I think we have multiple audiences, funders, teachers, schools, kids, and just trying to figure out how to segment and share with everybody.
Hi, I'm Summer Joffrey. I work with the High Chicago Fund for Connected Learning, and we don't have a Twitter or anything yet, but we'd like to have one soon. I use my own personal one and just learn more about how to disseminate the message and attract new people.
I'm Alex Herrera. I work for the Trinitarian Teaching Learning Lab. I'm interested in how social media can be sort of worked with the teens together, especially with public spaces that are pretty new to this new program network. Just starting, so I'm just really interested in seeing how or what those options are.
My name is Ed Wang. I work for Alternative Schools Network with Mike Hannon, and we're just beginning to form our social media campaign and how to promote the activities of our organization and make our organization transparent. So I'm just here to, try to see what is effective for a nonprofit.
And I'm Maria Hibbs. I'm with the High Chicago Fund for Connected Learning. Also, I work with SANA. And it sounds like all of you want to, or most of you want to know how to use this better. I want to know how to use it. I don't use Twitter. I don't use Instagram. I do use Facebook. And so, I don't have a clue.
I'm Miranda Kerr. I'm the coordinator of digital learning at Aquarium. So we have separate social media channels. I don't run our main channels, but I run all of our learning channels. And so like our Twitter feed is new come September. And so we're doing a lot, but I'm curious. I think the best way that I learn is hearing from other people of like, what are your successes? What have been your challenges? So I'm just excited to be in the room.
My name is Corbin Daniels. I work at Meet the Challenge. I lead student voice committees in all of the middle schools. I know a lot about social media. It's just that I want to find an engaging way to appeal it to my youth and inspire them to write blogs. I don't know how to write blogs, according to what we do in our Eastern Leadership Councils.
Good morning. I'm Maura Flood. I work at the Art Institute of Chicago. I work in teen programs, and we use social media to both promote and then also share out about our programming and events that we do. We have someone on staff that does all the social media, but it's mostly for families and adults and different audiences. And so I think that the museum, we're kind of grappling with, like, what do we do with teens? And we've been doing that for a while. So I think I'm just interested in kind of learning what other youth organizations do in terms of their social media plans and how they manage those things. And just thinking about best practices, smart practices, most effective strategies for using social media with youth.
So just as I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Christopher Whitaker. I'm a consultant with Smart Chicago, and I run their social media and chunk of their blog.
He's awesome. That's why he's here today. So some of the things that you want to know and learn, especially around using social media to do outreach to youth and do more engaging campaigns for youth to be participants in your programming or whatever, that's going to come in a later training. We'll touch on it a bit here, but definitely sign up for the youth outreach via social media training that's coming later in the summertime, because that is really going to go into how you use pictures, what type of language, just more youth-driven specific outreach activities. But hopefully everything that you want to learn today, you'll be able to get today. So I'm going to turn it over to Brooks to start.
Yep, sure, yeah. So these three guys, this is what we're going to be focusing on, just the foci. But yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And basically what they're for, how to use them better, or just use them in general. I think we have a pretty general overview here of the three. But yeah, Twitter, microblogging, I mean, I think most of you probably feel you're familiar. Anyone not familiar with any of these three or not use them? I think we all do, but it's just sort of... Right, because yeah, Facebook's kind of like the giant, and then you've got Instagram, which kind of dovetails into that. So I think Facebook owned by Instagram at this point.
Yeah.
And then Twitter is kind of out there on its own. But yeah.
Correct. So the one cool thing about Twitter is that you want to recognize that Twitter is that real-time engagement. So if you're looking for some immediate feedback, you want someone to take some immediate action, Twitter is probably the fastest thing that you can use to be able to do that and do it quickly and do it very robustly, because of how many people are watching their Twitter timelines. Everyone's married to their phones these days. They're just all looking and scrolling and trying to see what's happening. And if you're using hashtags or you're, following other folks and things appear, then it makes it even more interesting, and you can be really surprised how fast your message can get out there. Facebook, as we know, is a very rich content, specific for narrative and media. The better platform, of course, Twitter has its character limitations, and Instagram, have you ever seen those Instagram posts where they have a cool picture and then someone writes like a big paragraph underneath it, and you're like, what is this jumbly mess on my phone? Instagram is not intended to have that much narrative. So if you need to write things down and be a little bit more expansive, Facebook is definitely your better platform. And of course, Instagram is all about pictures, and specifically about mobile pictures, because if you log into Instagram on your computer, you can look at your posts, you can go into your profile, but you can't actually pull a picture from your computer and post it on Instagram from your computer. You can only do that through a mobile device. So there's lots of folks like, I need to go to Instagram, I want to post this picture that someone sent me, unless it's something that was sent on your phone and you download it that way and then you want to repost it, you have to do it through a mobile application. It says that 71% of the world's largest brands now use Instagram as a marketing channel. However, from a marketing perspective, the network is still in its early stages. I think that when Instagram first blew up, it was for people who didn't like to write. wasn't comfortable with how they were expressing themselves in writing. So Instagram is really popular for those people who just want to post a whole bunch of pictures of themselves. Selfie Nation, which by the way has some good marketing benefits and a lot of bad marketing benefits, but there's still lots of things happening on the Instagram platform as far as embedding video and other ways that it can become a little bit more user friendly. So it's still very early, even though it's one of the more popular.
Yes.
We know that there's lots of other things out there that, we have LinkedIn, Tumblr, and Google Plus, lots of other stuff, but we just kind of wanted to stick to these 3 main ones as a way to make sure that we got out of 2 hours. And if there's a need or some interest on some of the other platforms, as we go along during this calendar year, we may add in training about that. Any questions?
When you do the teen focus one, are you going to do things like Vine and Snapchat?
Vine, Snapchat, what's Kick? Yeah, oh yeah, all of that. Like I have a 24-year-old son, so my son's like, Mom, you need to get on Kick, and I'm just like, no. Why? I'm like, how about you just send me a text message? And he's just like, yeah, nah, Kick is where it's at. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna kick that to the curb because I'm not doing it. Do's of Twitter. I love Twitter. How many people love Twitter? Twitter is amazing. I have fights on Twitter. I make up on Twitter. It's like, it's amazing how quickly, things happen. And to be honest with you, because of the pace of Twitter, because of the information channel of Twitter, I really don't even watch the news or really have a need to read the paper in the morning, because anything and everything that's going on, somebody's talking about.
That's painful. That's painful.
Yeah, the news reads tweets now. Sometimes, the 1 or 2 times I've turned on the news, they're reading tweets to you.
And in the ticker, a lot of our morning shows. No, a lot of the morning shows run tweets from their pages at the bottom, so you can see exactly what's happening. So
it's awkward when they read the tweets.
It's so
just because they're like hashtag. I'm like, yes, I know. But
no, they're like, this came from Sunshine, my lover.
Yeah, the usernames are a little, yeah. Right.
72. Okay, she felt good about that. So Twitter, everyone's familiar with the platform. You have X amount of characters.
Yeah, 140.
140 characters to basically list whatever you feel, but not whatever you feel. On there, we encourage people to use links. We want you to use links. We'll go through this list and then we'll go through some examples. So if there's a link to something, your organization, or a link to a video, or a link to someone else's Twitter, because you can capture that, we encourage you to use links, because what Twitter does is it truncates it, so it doesn't use up all of your 160 characters. So if you are like me, 140 characters, excuse me, if you're like me and you're very wordy, because I speak the proper English, I have to get all of my complete sentences out. So it helps so that you can maintain your 140 characters, because it will truncate it. And if you put your link at the end versus at the beginning, then you get more Twitter characters. So if you put your link at the beginning, it's going to truncate it, but it's still going to count a piece of that link in the beginning. But at the end, for whatever reason, how they have their API scheduled, it doesn't count as many characters. So you maybe get like 6 or 7 that'll go for the link. You can go.
They've actually shown that Bitly's get more clicks than links.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but.
Yeah, you can do Bitly's as well, but for folks who are really, time crunched and then trying to save that and explain what a Bitly is. Miss Time to Tech Assistant.
Sorry.
No,
I
love
just
it.
shortens up the link. So you just go to bit.ly.com, you paste the link, it automatically makes one, and you can just use the random one if it's something you're going to use once. If it's something you're going to use over and over, like for a lot of our programs, I'll customize the Bitly. So we have a program for teachers on Great Lakes badging, and so it's like bit.ly/GL badge, and so then it's much shorter, but I remember what it is, so if I need to respond to someone in a tweet or have it referenced, but if it's an event that only we're going to do one time and goes away, I just take the random one that has a bunch of letters and numbers and stuff.
Is everyone familiar with what Bitly is? Okay. We're just gonna show it just in case anybody doesn't
So
know.
that's different than, like, Twitter just truncates it,
Right.
but makes it a hot link and then.
Correct.
Okay.
And Bitly shortens it and then
Right, right,
offers
yeah.
you some customization. So if you just wanted to, you know, if the link was a picture of me riding a horse in Jamaica, because you know that's what I did, from my website, you know, and it's like, you know, from my blog, Kyla hates winter, and then whatever the code is for that particular picture, you know, big long thing. It may truncate it to, you know, Kyla hates, and then that's it. Or I could make sure that I could go into Bitly and then do a customization and just say Kyla in Jamaica, or Kyla on horse in Jamaica, or whatever I wanted it to be. So it's helpful for people to reference after life goes on, because with how fast Twitter goes, it's just easy to say, hey, query Kyla on a horse in Jamaica, and it should pop up very easily. So this is Bitly.
It just depends on how long your links are. Like, because a lot of our things are pulled from Shed Frame's website. It's like shedframe.org /learning /teens /calendar it's like so long. So
Right.
it's short.
Yeah, goodness, it's all about the maximizing the constraints of Twitter. Like I remember when it came out back in 2004, and they're like, "There's this thing, but it's microblogging," and I'm like, so it's like a haiku.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful with your words and maximize them as much as possible.
Indeed, indeed. Do use hashtags. Everyone knows what a hashtag is, right? So here's the thing with hashtags.
I know what it is, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, what a hashtag is specifically is it provides a focus, a grouping of some particular ideas. Now, because social media is crazy, some of the hashtags have information in it that is either related or not related. And we'll talk a little bit as we go later about how you can use your hashtags to get more views to your pages and get more people to pay attention to you, even if the thing you're talking about is unrelated to the hashtag. So use lots of hashtags. Here's the key to hashtags though. Don't just be making up a hashtag because it sounds good. I have a friend who hashtags everything. She's like, hashtag I love you, hashtag it's Wednesday, hashtag my hair's looking good, hashtag you ain't looking good. And just like, and again, if you're doing this from a marketing perspective, or you're trying to bring volume or views to your particular social media campaign or to your page or whatever, then having these useless hashtags are just for fun. You may get some laughs out of it, but in reference to getting the maximization of views and participation in your particular social media post, use an existing hashtag is what we suggest. And if I'll show you some links on how to find what's the most popular hashtags of the day, so that you'll be able to hashtag your stuff with the most popular hashtags, and then folks that are looking at love, because love is the #1 hashtag in the world, followed by sex. Don't put hashtag sex on your post, people. It's not going to go well as a youth-served organization.
And I'll say from experience that bad hashtags that make no sense drive librarians crazy. Because we're like, why would you do this? Like, it's not it's like a cataloging kind of thing. It's like, how are you going to find this? And like, you're not. It doesn't work. It's bad. Yeah. So you want it to be findable and accessible, all those sorts of things.
Right. And don't use hashtags as a way to send like a message to somebody important. So, for instance, a person who's at the library who just applied for a job at Coca-Cola, who then sends a tweet to Coca-Cola and puts hashtag, you better give me that job. Not a good thing. Don't do that. Like, hashtags have to be purposeful. Again, they can be fun, but for the purposes of an organization or a company, we are trying to maximize your viewership. Do use plain language. So if you have the tendency to be wordy or use large words, or you play a lot of Scrabble or whatever, this is not the opportunity to use really long, fancy language, because people are not going to understand what you are saying to them, nor are they going to take the time to read it, because again, 5th grade education is really the average reader of a Twitter post, and so we want to be able to reach the masses.
It's kind of like if you've ever taken a journalism class and you've been taught about the lead, I would say it has to be 35 words or less. It's like that same kind of mindset versus you have to maximize everything that's going on within that tweet. And yeah, use plain language because no one's going to understand.
Indeed. Do use acceptable shortened versions of words. So your, Y-O-U-R, into you are. You, Y-O-U, into just the capital letter of you. Saves on characters, and you need those characters to be able to say what you need to say. So please use acceptable shortened versions of words. Don't just make up your acceptable version and shorten it yourself, because again, it could be confusing, or even worse, it could be like an acronym for something totally horrible. And if you're like me and not necessarily paying attention to the acronym acquisition of today, you don't want to embarrass yourself or your organization. So acceptable shortened versions of words.
If you're not sure if it's acceptable, it's probably not acceptable.
Good.
You have to think about it, yeah.
Good words to live by. Do embed a picture. Twitter, although it's fast-paced and it only has 140 characters, those 140 characters become really powerful when there's a picture that's attached to it. Now, there is a way to embed a picture so that it shows up as a picture versus as a link, because pictures get more views, links get more clicks, but if you want views, like people who are spending time actually looking at it and engaging in it, a picture will serve as best. The best Twitter post has a link, a picture embed, and 140 characters of really strong, colorful language. And by colorful, I don't mean cursing somebody out, which will show you a version of that too. Do tag people in Twitter. So does everyone know what a Twitter tag is? An @ Everyone has it. The tag is your own personal handle. So on Smart Chicago's, on my Twitter for Smart Chicago is @Smart Chicago, shortened CHGO, Kyla. Smart Chicago's Kyla. That's my Twitter handle. So if you wanted to send me something that you wanted me to read, you would tag me. You would say, hey, they got a shoe sale going on at Macy's. Yeah. @Smart Chicago Kyla. And that would show up in my mentions on my phone or wherever I'm looking at, and it would let me know that someone tagged me. Tagging is very, very interesting on Twitter because you can tag anybody on Twitter, unlike on Facebook, where there has to be a following and a following back in order for them to receive it. So Twitter is good to tag. You can tag Katy Perry, you can tag Kanye West, send them a little message. Let's see, who famous did I tag recently? Oh, I was watching a couple weeks ago Black Girls Rock, the award ceremony, and Tracee Ellis Ross, who's on the show Blackish on Channel 7, she has an alter ego called T-Murder, where she wears like a grill, she's like rapping, and she was trying to do a rap, but her teeth kept falling out. So she pulled her teeth out to do her rap, and I sent her a tweet, and I was like, oh, you need to get those bars out, T-Murder, I see you out there. And she was like, those teeth were hurting me, for real. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's tweeting me back. But she's Diana Ross's daughter. She's fabulous, I love that. So tagging famous people, depending upon what you have to say, or what your cause is, can get some notices, because again, when she responded directly to me, of course everybody I knew thought I was a Twitter superstar for 5 minutes, so then everybody's retweeting, and so now 793 retweets later, my tag made it out there in the world. And here's the better portion of this story. One of the blogs everyone knows about, Media Takeout, Vasa, Perez Hilton. If you have a tweet that's like really like interesting or says something very dynamic or whatever, they will pick it up sometimes and they'll retweet it on the blog as something like that was important. So tagging people is very, very important. Do post something on your Twitter at least 3 times a day. What is the issue about Twitter? Twitter moves so fast. It moves very, 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 very fast. So what you posted at 6 a.m., people have long moved on into 15,000 other opportunities to engage with other people. So even if you are not a for real Twitter person and you hate tweeting, because I have people, I hate tweeting, oh my God, it's horrible. Even if you post the same thing 3 times that day, you're still going to be affecting and interacting with different audiences, because at 6 a.m., whoever's on Twitter at 6 a.m. probably was doing this before they went to work or school. Whoever's there at 12 is probably on lunch. Whoever's there in the evening time may be making dinner or doing something other than eating breakfast or whatever the case may be. So
I feel like you might want to word it a little differently though, because if someone clicks on your page, they're going to see that you just keep saying the same thing.
Well, not necessarily, because if you're driving home a message, a specific message, like vote for instance, on American Idol, vote for me and this is the number, blah, blah, they skip, blah, they skip. You really may want to just be targeted if it's the same message. Of course, we encourage you to change the messaging, but for consistency's sake, especially, this is specifically for folks who don't tweet a lot. Even if it's the same thing and that's just helping you to build your habit up, post 3 times a day. But good advice, definitely.
Yeah, I just think sometimes if your followers see that your page says the same thing over and over, you know, you may not want to, I don't know. And the other thing I was going to just say is, I mean, you're probably going to get to this, but you could use something like TweetDeck, so you don't have to go there 3 times a day. You just line it up.
We are definitely going to do that. But for some of our users, using that type of software is a bit much. You know, they're just even trying to figure out what their password is to log into Twitter, you know, for some. So just wanted to make sure that we offer a broad range of opportunities for people to interact. So do follow people and do solicit followers. It's okay to be like, hey, follow me. I work for Blase Skip It and we do cool things. It's okay to solicit followers, because the more people that follow you, then their followers are now going to see what you post. And this is a communication tool. This is a communication tool and a community builder exercise. That's what Twitter really is. It's using the internet, the interwebs, as a way to further your message, further your reach. So does everyone understand the whole follower following, how that works? So just for the sake of saying it, if I follow Brooks, how many followers do you have on Twitter?
Today?
Today.
77 maybe?
Okay, so Brooks has 77 followers on Twitter. So now I'm following Brooks. I'm the 78th follower on Twitter. Now, Brooks' other 77 followers are going to see anything that I post, because now I'm following him. And even though they don't follow me, because I'm in his timeline, they can still see anything that I say. If I tag him specifically and they follow him, they'll see it specifically. So it's an interesting dynamic and it's brilliant. They should win a Nobel Peace Prize. Thus, I promise you, Twitter is healing the world and causing problems too. So do retweet, comment, and favorite and tag your organization. So a retweet, if I tag to Brooks and I say, Brooks, you are an awesome instructor during Time for Tech, virtual high five.
Yeah.
You know, Brooks will retweet it. So now people who follow him will see that he retweeted my tweet. Then they may be like, well, who is this girl and why is she sending him a high five? And then they'll click on my profile and be like, hey, she looks cool. I'm gonna follow her too. If you add a comment to someone's tweet, that's called like a repost. And you could just simply repost, which is a retweet, or you could retweet and add some comments to it. So if you retweet, Twitter will truncate that retweet response, so it won't have the entire tweet that you're retweeting there, because it will allow you some characters to say something. So if I tweeted to Brooks and said, you're an awesome instructor, and then Brooks retweeted that and then responded back to me, it'd be like, you're awesome too. So it'll have his original tweet at the bottom of that tweet, but it'll also have the you're awesome too at the top in response to me. And then we can just have us a whole conversation for the rest of the day talking about how awesome we are. But
everyone sees it.
And then everyone sees it. And it's like, well, we think they're awesome too. You can also favorite tweets, meaning on your phone, Twitter has a star. I think on your PC platform, it also is a star. That provides 2 things. One, it shows your people that you thought that this was important. So people who are thinking you're important are going to say, okay, why did she think that that's important? And so they're going to want to pay attention to that. The other thing is, if you use your Twitter as a kind of like a notepad for what you're doing on social media. So let's say today I favorite 15 different things. I favorited what's happening in Nepal, I favorited what's happening in Baltimore, I favorited a time to tech tweet. You can go back to your favorites on any particular day, because it's all in a timeline, and it will show you what you favorited. So it's not something that you can lose, that you have to lose if you want to get back to it. So if you're in a hurry, or like me, oftentimes running between meetings, and you're like, oh my God, this is so important, oh, quick favorite, you can go back to it and read exactly, why you thought it was your favorite. And the favorite doesn't have to stay. If you click on it and you figure out it was not something you thought it was, you can unfavorite it and you go back into timeline heaven. So those are the do's of Twitter. Do's of Facebook. Any questions on do's of Twitter? Do's of Facebook. Do use embedded media. So Facebook users, how many people use Facebook? How many people prefer Facebook over Twitter? And why do you prefer it?
There's just so much.
It's not real time.
Yeah, there's too much to keep up with on Twitter.
It's too much? It's not real time? Anybody else who prefers Facebook?
Well, I prefer Facebook.
Why?
Twitter is just confusing for me.
Okay.
I don't know Twitter very well.
Mhm.
That's one of the reasons why I'm here. And when I read a Twitter feed, I have a hard time understanding each tweet. Whereas Facebook, you're not limited on the characters.
Right.
It's a little bit more complete.
Gotcha. So yes, do use embedded media. Facebook is good for links, but not so good for links, because you want to capture people at that moment. A lot of times people think links are spam. So if they see a link in your timeline post, they may go past it. So just be aware of that. Now, some folks, if you're a trusted authority and they've interacted with you on Facebook before, the links are fine. But a lot of people see links as spam. And so you, as an organization, you don't want to lose your people because they think you're trying to spam them into something else. A lot of organizations use links to spam into the ask. So there's a link that's kind of misleading because they went on Bitly and changed it to love children during the summertime. And then they click on it and it's your, raise funds campaign, from, GoFundMe or whatever. So lots of times organizations are missing the mark in being able to maximize their viewership on Facebook because people feel like you're spamming them with messaging. And we'll talk a little bit more about how you're crafting your messages, which will hopefully help to deliver you. So do tag, do follow. If you are responsible for your organization, please make a nonprofit organization page versus a regular page, because that provides, some professionalization of who you are as an organization. People feel like you belong to something or somebody versus more your general page. A lot of people will have their organization page as an extension of their regular page. So then it's very muddled and, more importantly, very busy. More spam, more messaging that comes up, more advertising links. So if you are an organization and you have a Facebook account, please make sure that it's a Facebook page for nonprofits. Do post something every day. There are people who have Facebook pages, and you guys know them. They post like once every 3 months. It's not even partially effective, because here, and as an organization, this is where it gets really funny. So you post something during Christmas time because you're doing your Christmas fundraising. Then you're doing your March Spring Fling fundraising. Then you're doing your back to school fundraising. It becomes this cycle, and then people just automatically ignore what you're saying because they already know that you're in your fundraising cycle. The people want to be engaged. They want to know about you. They want to know what you're doing. And in order to do that, you need to post something every day, even if it's a little something. And of course, if you tie all your accounts together, you can maybe post one thing and it'll hit all your accounts at one time.
It just starts to look like an ad after a while. Like they're like, oh, it's September and there's a special, so there's nothing else, no other content after that. But yeah, and like the same thing with rants. It's like you can just fall into that rant trap where the ranting Facebook guy.
Right.
So like I have a friend on Facebook that's like always delayed at an airport. That's like his complete Facebook is stuck at SFO. I'm like, you know,
Right.
you kind of just gloss over it. It's like, oh, you're just the rant guy now. So not that ranting's bad, but like you don't want to be, that's your MO on Facebook.
Indeed. So keep your status updates brief. Even though you can write forever on Facebook, it doesn't mean you should. Because no one wants to read a 5-paragraph essay about why your organization is great. You should be able to do that in 3 to 4 sentences with some colorful language and some encouragement to click to your website, because that would be where we would want people to go back to, where you can have things that are a little bit more expansive, your donate link and things of that nature. We don't want your Facebook pages to, I mean, I have a friend who works for an organization, and God love her, but I just can't. And, you know, I have a regular job too. I just can't spend 15-20 minutes reading all of this narrative on Facebook. So keep your statuses brief but succinct. Do vary your posts, because similar to what this young lady said and what Brooks mentioned, it can start to look all the same, and then people will tune out, because when they go to your page and it's the exact same post, they're like, there's nothing new here. Now in between there may have been something really good that they wanted to participate in or could provide some resources for, but they got lost in your same messaging. Do rant. It's okay to have an opinion or to be passionate about something. Now, I don't encourage anybody to get on Facebook and Twitter fights. Don't do that. But it's okay if you have some passion for a particular subject matter, or if there's something going on specifically in the news that's current, that's relatable to what you're doing in your organization. Use discretion and good taste. This is not the opportunity for you to show what you wore to the club on Saturday night. Even though you look cute and was standing by a sign that said kids, this is not the time probably to do that, because people make assumptions about your organizations based on what media you place up there, based on your language, and you want to always politics. Elections cycle, and some folks have political or civic, especially over at MICFA, there's some civic groups that are happening there with the youth talking about things. As an organization, I would say stay neutral, because you don't want to offend. So if you want to go on your personal page, and even be careful about that, because people tie your personal page to where you work. So just be mindful of politics. Do proofread. Nothing worse than this well-crafted Facebook message, 7 paragraphs of language and lots of spelling errors. No one knows what you're saying or trying to say, or you're using jazzy language. Facebook really is the platform for you to be more complete as an organization. On your personal page, if you want to kind of be more casual with your language, I think that that's fine. But from an organizational standpoint, you want to be as complete as possible. If your organization is kind of like the fun, youth-driven, we use casual language, then stay with that line of language, because you don't want to turn your audience off by speaking in a way or presenting information in a way that they are not going to relate to. You can't, if your normal language in your organization, even on your website, is more casual, and then in Facebook you're, posting like a Rhodes Scholar, then you're probably going to be missing your mark. Do repost with comments. So if someone says something on Facebook, whether it's on your page or someone else, go ahead and repost it and do a comment and hashtag it, or send it to somebody else, tag somebody else that you think is important. When you're commenting, always tag your organization page when you're doing your comment. So even if your comment has nothing necessarily to do with your organization, but if people are following you and paying attention to what you're saying, especially if you're engaged in kind of like a back and forth situation, by throwing in your organization's tag, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10 people are going to say, hey, she works for, he works for, or hey, what's that? Let me see what that is. People are just naturally curious. So being an organization response is really helpful. Any questions about do's of Facebook? Do's of Instagram. Instagram is is the picture platform, of course. Do posts as an organization, selfies, ussies, and groupies. I just found out what groupies was, which I thought was like people who, stalk stars or whatever. But apparently groupies are the picture where if you guys are my groupie, and if I was taking me a picture, I would put myself and then you guys in the back.
That had a name? I didn't know that had a name.
Just learn. Just learn. It's the groupies, yeah? So, Instagram is really good for that, for being able to really show and display personal character. And if you are an organization, especially if you like do youth work, you're the instructor, or you're, the teacher, or you're the coach, or whatever the case may be, your kids are gonna love to see you on your organization's page doing stuff that's outside of like what you normally do with them. So if you're a coach for a basketball team and you're cooking, you can put up an Instagram of you cooking something, and then inside your language, your little narrative there, you draw back to how you coach. It's like, I'm not just coaching for Central High School, I'm cooking it up for the home team, or something like that. And people be like, oh, look at Coach Brown up there, he's cooking mashed potatoes, I bet they're horrible, But it creates conversation. The purpose of Instagram really is to invoke conversation as well between people or other people. So do post your best shots and celebration moments. If you got something really fun happening, kids graduating, kids playing, kids working, kids doing whatever, put that information up. Now there is some caution in reference to posting children on the internet. So I think each of your organizations probably has some type of statement around how you share information and share photos about the youth that are in your organizations. When we have our outreach, we have lots of examples and legal information about what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, so make sure you come back for that. So do not overshare or use off-color pictures. Again, if you're representing your organization or you're tagging your organization, you want this to be as professional as possible, but still fun and still engaging. Do build a story. Instagram is the story builder application. You are able to capture someone's attention using pictures and tell a story without having to even be there. So it's a skill, but it's a really, really valuable skill. Do build suspense. Like, people like to see what's coming next. So you can go photo 1, photo 2, photo 3. For instance, the robotics lab. So showing all the kids appearing at the robotics lab, and they're waiting to get the instruction. That's the first photo. The second photo is them actually engaging and messing around with the bits and pieces as they're trying to build their little robot. The third picture, the robot. Tells a story and says, interested in robotics? Check out our program with the link. Told a whole complete story. Kids doing stuff, building robots. Do use PhotoGrid or other collage software. How you can be very impactful and tell many different stories or tell one nicely aligned stories is by using a collage. Maria, do you know what the collage app is? Okay. Collage app is when you take more than one picture and place it into a frame together.
That's what a collage is. I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay.
Where it is.
Yeah, a collage. Yeah, a collage app is where you capture your pictures and then you can upload it in collage form. So not just one picture, but several pictures. And there's lots of cool applications out there where you can load one pictures up to 12 pictures. There's applications where you can put pictures and then have live video running. Have you guys seen those? Where lots of artists are using those when they're singing songs and things like that. For top hashtags, this is the site if you want to know where the top hashtags for the day for Instagram. So top-hashtags.com/Instagram. Every day they list the top posts and then they also disseminate whether those are categorically whatever. So if it's like animals or kids or family or whatever. So based on what you're trying to do, if you're on Instagram and you want some attention to your program or to your project or to that particular photo, add that hashtag to it. Again, number one hashtag is love. Hashtag love. It gets over 3 billion looks every day. Geocode. Geocode is when you add a location to your Instagram photo. So when I was at MozFest in London and I was all over hanging, doing the jazz tour, you know, I was geotagging myself all over the place. And so people who were like, oh my God, you're in London, check out this. People from London started following me, like, who is this child all over the jazz scene? Why does she have a microphone in her hand? Is she a singer? Oh my goodness, I'm gonna follow her. So just from that 3-day experience, I got probably 67 followers from London. Then when I came back and started talking more about London, and then they saw that I got back, they're like, oh my God, she lives in Chicago, we love Chicago. So then they started following all types of stuff. So it's very, very impactful to geocode when you're doing your Instagram photos. Do like, and on Instagram it's a heart. Do heart at least 25 photos a day from your organization's page. Find something that you like and like it. 25 a day. I know that sounds like a task. No. Okay, so for instance, like, you all have your cell phones. Are you on Instagram randomly? 25. Go to the hashtag and search, say love, and find things you love, and bop, 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 bop. It takes all of 27 seconds. But if you do that every day, the places that you like are going to say, okay, why did she like my photo? Who is this person? Maybe I should start liking her stuff too.
Where did the number 25 come from?
25 is what they recommend from the social media guru person that you'll see in a minute. Okay. It's that 25 photos a day if you're trying to build viewership.
Okay. The only other question I have is, and I guess it probably varies by organization, but like before we like something or retweet something, I'm not on Instagram, but for Twitter, I'd be similar for liking things. I usually will go through and check their page because depending on how you run your channel, like you could consider that like, what if I like their photo and the one right after it is them like beating a dog or something like that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, right. I just am very careful about what I like through my channel's voice because I don't want it to look like Shed Aquarium is liking this really cool picture of a butterfly, but 2 pictures back, this kid is abusing an animal or something like that. Right. I mean, that's an extreme case, but how do you account for that, or how do you figure out what's okay to like or retweet or repost on Instagram? Well, and that'll come up in a little bit because we're going to talk about some disasters, that have occurred publicly. What we suggest is people that you would trust or organizations that you would trust. So like big ones like National Geographic or other museums.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're not saying as an organization that you should like everything that Kanye says. But Kanye has said some things that have mattered. Yeah. You know? And I think that people are sophisticated enough to say that because you like this Kanye tweet and you didn't like any other Kanye tweet, that doesn't mean that you're president of the Kanye fan club. And because Instagram, social media period, Twitter and Facebook moves so fast, that you liked may never resurface. But in that moment, if that like got 50 other likes to your page because they thought that whatever you liked was important to them and they wanted to know who you were and who your organization was, that's the purpose and point. So I agree to be a smart liker, a smart reposter, a smart tweeter. But some of that you just can't control because, again, the ebb and flow of information and of what you think is important and what they think is important may only align here, you know, and there may be great big differences here. Now to the fun stuff. I had to get through that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy. So, I love social media horror stories. I mean, these aren't really. But this basically, Justine Sacco, this story here in the New York Times, essentially she was the head of PR for some big corporation. I won't bore you with the details, but she was taking a flight, I think, from London to Cape Town and was making snarky comments about like fellow passengers. And by the time she touched down in Cape Town, she was fired from her job. So it's like you have to be kind of mindful of like what you're doing, what you're saying, and your voice and your presence.
What were
You
some
might
of the comments?
Oh, they were like, they were very.
She was really stupid.
Yeah, she was like.
She said some really offensive, like horrible things, and
Yeah.
then by the time her plane landed, they were like.
Yeah, like it was like complaining about one of the passengers' body odor or something, like, like you're in first class.
Oh,
like
I thought she
so it was,
also made something like really racist or
yeah,
sexist
yeah,
or
it
something.
keeps
Like,
going.
really
It's like not,
offensive.
yeah, and then I don't know, there might have been an absence of thought going on there, where it was like, I'll just do this and it'll be okay, and then by the end of the flight, it's over. So you just have to be mindful of what you're doing on social media at all times. And then, yeah, this is very harmless looking, like this Entenmann's, everyone loves donuts, kind of, and but their hashtag was not guilty, and this was during the Casey Anthony verdict, which was not guilty. This happened right at the exact same time, so everyone's like, we hate you, Entenmann's, like blah, blah, blah. So it was very polarizing. So it was just a case of the wrong hashtag at the wrong time. And it goes on and on. I mean, you can Google social media disasters, but it's like you have to really, especially with hashtagging, you have to know exactly when you're doing stuff. I mean, that's very specific to Twitter too. Like you can get caught in a mailstorm that you had no idea was happening because you're just thinking like, oh, donuts are tasty. Oh, not guilty. Like over, people will hate your brand. But yeah, it does go on. So. And then yeah, I think Jenny put this one in here too. But you want to kind of do this in a positive way when you're connecting with people on social media. Yeah, so she was, I think this was for American Airlines. Deal 30, yeah. So they had a microsite promoted the new daily partner deal promotion. The contest occurred the fourth day of the promotion. Participants had to register AA Advantage number on the microsite, and the hashtag was Deal 30, and follow the Twitter handle AA Advantage. But basically, this was a huge success for American Airlines, and they gained more followers. So they're good ways to promote it, and this doesn't reek of like one of those like we're having a special and it's just a commercial. Like you see an organization and they don't post often, it just looks like you're running an ad. This is more of a concerted push on their part.
So if you are a museum, you should be following every other museum in the Chicago area. If you're not, do that now. If you are a youth serving organization and you're part of the Hive, every Hive member organization that has a Facebook, a Twitter, and an Instagram, you should be following those as well.
Yeah. And then this one popped up, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to use this photo.
Yeah.
And I just figured out what these guys have names. I was always like, those are the guys that hate everything on the Muppet Show, but it's Stadler and Waldorf. But yeah, we were talking about like good trolling, bad trolling.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll have a very innocuous tweet that'll say something like, the sky is blue, and then someone will reply, I hate you, the sky is not blue, and you're like, well, that was just universally accepted, so that's your troll. But there's an upside to that.
Yeah, so trolling is bad. Everyone knows what trolling is? Does everyone know what trolling is? Okay, so trolling is basically looking at someone's timeline and picking things out of their timeline that is either good or bad, and either making a comment about it or using it for your own good. So if I was trolling Brooks is all pointing out all these good books about, what's in the library. It's spring, all of these great books are happening, because Brooks is all smart, he's all about the books, he's a librarian. I ain't about the books, I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm gonna troll Brooks's timeline, and then I'm gonna be really smart to all my friends, and I'm gonna say, hey, books for April is Blase Skippy, Blase Skippy, Blase Skippy. And people are going to be like, oh my God, I love that book. And now it's a whole conversation about these books. Now, mind you, I didn't read any books, and I have no intention on reading any of those books. But because I trust what Brooks says, and my job and my organization is to get kids to read, then I'm going to take what Brooks said, I'm going to turn it into my own little situation, and now people are going to start engaging with me, because Brooks has 77 followers, I got 2,700 followers. So now I'm maximizing my Twitter specialness, but using all of Brooks' ideas. That's positive trolling. It's the internet. It doesn't belong to you once you press send or post. It's free now. So people can take your information and repurpose it, and we encourage you to do that on a positive way. So that's positive trolling. Now, negative trolling. Brooks has posted a book. I have feelings about that book and I don't like it. So now, every time Brooks posts anything for the rest of the day, I'm gonna be like, what about that book though? It's racist, it's inconsistent, it's sexist, it's gender, issues, and I'm gonna just troll him all day about something that he posted at 6:43. It's now 11:15 p.m. and I'm still gonna be on his timeline trolling him about the one thing he posted early that morning.
And you see it on all social media. You'll see anything with a comment, it's like, then there's like that one guy that's like, I hate this, blah, 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 and you're wrong, and this is why. And then people will feed the troll and engage that, and then it becomes this whole, it spins out of control, so.
Indeed. So while I'm on Brooks's timeline talking about the book that he recommended that I hate and don't appreciate, everybody that's following me now is reading what I'm saying to Brooks. Guess what they're doing? Everybody is going to start wanting to follow Brooks so that they can get in on this little bit of troll too. So now Brooks has 500 interactions with people that he don't know, all because of a tweet that he placed at 6:40 that morning. So we want to encourage positive trolling. So again, if you are a youth serving organization, if you are a school, you should be, and any other school in the city of Chicago has a Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you should be following those people. Anytime you're in a meeting and you're doing business with other like individuals, you should be asking them, what's your Facebook, what's your Twitter, what's your Instagram, and doing an immediate follow so you don't forget, because life moves fast just like social media, and you don't want to forget. And there may be an opportunity to either collaborate or, more importantly, use some great idea that they're using to assist you in specifically whatever you're doing. Again, once it's public domain, it's yours to use. There are things that are copywritten, of course, so don't just go take the American Airlines campaign and white out American Airlines and put your organization's name. That's probably illegal. But you could probably use the same theory in reference to trying to get people to like or to tweet a tweet campaign or a Facebook like campaign. That's the other thing that I didn't talk about in the do's, because we try to only use tips that are free. But if you are interested in building likes on your Facebook or your Twitter or your Instagram, you can buy ads for each of those platforms and run ads to specific demographics, and it will show up as a sponsored or be highlighted or whatever the case may be, and people seem to trust that, and normally you can get more Facebook likes or whatever, views or hearts on your Instagram. So we encourage people to be good trolls. And I don't know in this case which one's the good one, because they both look
They're
a little
both pretty
grumpy.
bad.
Okay.
And then you were saying about following celebrity profiles. As far as Twitter goes, Katy Perry, the most followed person. So I think it's something like 68.7 million followers. I don't know if that's still true. That was last week, so it may have changed. But yeah, you're basically looking at this. It's a great amplifier for your message from an organization. If you're like retweeting, mentioning them, if they mention you or if they are on like the right hashtag or the right story, it's basically sending out that message to that many more people. Just something to be.
What was the Katy Perry song? It was about fire something. Fireworks. So if you do child safety, she has a song called Fireworks. So tag Katy Perry and say, love your song, Fireworks. We teach kids how to stay safe during the July 4th holiday weekend. Hashtag, my organization's great. At, whatever organization A, B, and C. With all her followers, now you've tagged her, they're now going to read your tweet and be like, what? They're doing what with kids and fireworks? What's happening?
Right. And
you would be amazed at how many people would contact you directly to say, hey, that's great work. My kid got hurt from some fireworks. Is there some place that I can donate? Is there some place that I can help? Can I volunteer? What's your activity? Lots of interactions with people that you don't know, that you normally wouldn't have had interactions with. Now, Katy Perry has been your connector because she had a song called Fireworks.
We had a Katy Perry incident that backfired at the Art Institute.
Here we
'Cause
go.
She came to the museum and she went to the Magritte show and then was Instagramming and, you know, like tagging whatever, doing all this stuff. And we retweeted it and put it on our Facebook, put it on our Instagram, and our like followers hated it. They thought we totally sold out and people were really pissed and we got like this outpouring of like hate at us about it. So
Which is
we won't be doing that for like anytime
but
soon.
know
but
your
yeah, the backlash.
demographic. That's
Yeah.
a tip that's coming in a
Her
little bit
pictures
later.
were okay, like they weren't
They were
offensive to the art at
fine.
all, it was just like.
People were like, you sold out, you know, like
Wow, that's
torture,
so
blah blah blah. Yeah.
What if it had been David Bowie or Mick Jagger?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
think
just
it's
like sort of
sure.
like the cultural icon?
It's
that
culture.
you-
You have to know your organization and what they deem is important, your demographic, and we're going to show you how you can determine who's following you and what they all have in common, because that is helpful for how you're going to craft your messages. You may think that everyone that follows your Twitter or follows your Facebook likes that because of something, and you may find out that it's actually something else that everyone has in common. I follow lots of celebrities because they're just interesting, but more importantly, their followers are interesting. They say interesting things. They provide interesting tips and resources and things that are, especially with us being so geographically centralized, you know, a lot of these stars are in New York and California, so you get to learn about things that are happening in different places without having to do all the research. You're saving yourself some time, letting the public do that for you.
And then, yeah, you're saying about organization Twitter accounts earlier. Basically, like, if you're an organization, you want to follow other organizations to see what they're doing, and then basically you are amplifying that message by seeing what's going on, and, you know, like-minded organizations and individuals. But that's the CPL organization. They only have, what, 15,000 followers, so they're not at Katy Perry level yet. So.
Yeah, not quite Katy Perry though. That's unfortunate. Very
Right.
important institution in this city.
It's the, yeah, and then we were talking about hashtags too, but I mean, I think this has kind of become like, this is like in the canon of hashtags, YOLO, like it's so old now and revered, but yet it doesn't really mean anything anymore. It's not really, you know, but be mindful of your hashtags. People, as we were talking about earlier, they put your hashtags all the time, or they just like put a giant sentence that no one really understands or reads, or they're going to use special characters in a hashtag. So like they'll have a word and then an ampersand and another word, and it basically disrupts the hashtag. So what you were trying to communicate is now rendered ineffective. I think I did that with like Farm and Fleet once. I was like, great day at Farm and Fleet hashtag, and this was years ago before I knew about, you know, how the ampersand would ruin it. But yeah. And also, I think a good practice is just capital letters for words, because if you have like 3 or 4 words together, it's just running, and then people are trying to figure out what you're saying, and they're more prone to glossing over stuff. I mean, just the medium is so, people want to get through it quickly, so if you have something that's just not making sense, especially when it comes to a hashtag, they're just going to skip it and move to the next one. So it's just that ephemeral of a medium. But yeah, this one has a nice, I mean, Earth Day, that's good. And then they got a link, so they're doing everything okay. Awesome illustration. And then yeah, also tying it with Ed Chat and Hello Chat. So, but that was from last week.
Yeah, and if you go to hashtags.org, it will tell you where all of the top hashtags are, and find one that's relevant to what your message is or similarly related, and add that to the end.
And then yeah, posing questions. This is also CEO, but yeah, what book will you read? So it keeps it open-ended. It invites, you know, communication with followers and participation, and then you can see they need a few through here. So it's just a way to amplify that message, and instead of just saying like a statement, and then people are just like, okay, that happened, and I was moving on, and there's no link, and there's no engagement with your followers in that sense.
Indeed. And it's okay to answer your own question too, especially if you pose a question and you're not getting any action. Sometimes people need to know and get a little encouragement from you on what to write. So, you know, beautiful Saturday, what book will you read outside in the sunshine today? I'm not reading anything. I'm going to read the magazine, or I'm going to do this, or can you suggest a book, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Sometimes they need a little bit encouraging. So it's not a bad thing to go ahead and answer your own question as a way to start conversation. So pose lots of questions, because I think, especially in the Hive organization, you know, we're growing, and a lot of us don't know what each other does. So this is a good opportunity to introduce yourself even to our peers in the Hive network, to say, hey, do you know what we do at the Nature Museum? Or did you know that it's more than just butterflies at the Nature Museum? Some type of question is a great way to start some engaging. So linking to secondary media. If you have a WordPress blog, I know that you were speaking about blogging, that you had kids that need to learn how to blog. Most of the blogging platforms, and last month we did WordPress Exposed. WordPress also has a interface that can automatically tweet out, or Facebook out, or Instagram even, a little picture directly from your blog. So we want you to tie together all your secondary media. So your YouTube channels, your WordPress blogs. If you have your website that is enabled with posting, because if you build it on certain platforms, so like if you have a WordPress.org website, things that you post on your actual website, then when you update it, so if you add a new post or you put a new picture, you can have that done automatically, so you don't even have to worry about those updates. Especially people who are following your organization and want to know what's happening. If they are more attuned to social media and Twitter or Facebook, and it's coming from your website as an update, then people are going to go back to your website. So what's happening now is that you're getting the view or the click or the scroll on social media, and then they're coming back to your website to see what you actually posted. Because of course what comes in social media form is going to be truncated. It's not going to be the entire ad or the entire posting or whatever the case may be. If you don't have a WordPress.org website, check with your web developer to see about coding in to automatically post to your social media, because you can code it specifically to do that.
So it creates do you do repost or post or link to or whatever it's called?
Correct.
It does its own automatic truncation.
It does its own automatic. Christopher does all of our social media at Smart Chicago. So when we post a new blog post up, I wrote something about our smart health centers, and it was like, oh, smart health centers, outreach activity, blah 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 blah, and then it hit WordPress. Automatically, it sent out a tweet as Smart Chicago to say, hey, Smart Health Centers has got it going on. And people are like, what? Smart Health Centers gonna go and see what's happening?
But how does it determine when you, like, what part is just take the first 140 characters from the...
So the default will be just the title of the post. Sometimes we'll go in there and, like if I'm writing a post about National Day of Civic Hacking, there's a box that I can edit it to change National Day of Civic Hacking to, and I'll change it to their Twitter handle. And then whenever it's scheduled to go live, as soon as it goes live, it'll send out a tweet. You can tell, like if you look at Smart Chicago's Twitter, you can tell which ones are generated by WordPress, because WordPress also does the link shortener, and it'll look like wp.me blah 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 blah. And that's how you know they're coming from the WordPress Twitter.
So, link to your secondary media so everything is in rotation. That's the tip. Fact-finding tips about social media followers. So, to your question about, well, if they, I like this picture of a plant and then they're, doing something that I don't agree with in the next post, well, how do I reconcile that? So we have a couple of links here of things that can help you do that. One of the things that I like to do is I like to look at Twitter analytics. And every Twitter account for free, you can check your analytics. Does everyone know that you can do that and check that? So can you click on that for me just so I can show?
Oh. instances. I'll just do Twitter analytics.
Yeah, this is Twitter analytics. What? Okay. Yeah, so if you're signed into your Twitter account and you automatically type in Twitter analytics, it'll take you directly to your Twitter analytic account. And it will basically show you your tweet activity, your followers, it gives you all type of cool demographic information, Twitter cards. It has just a host of information of things that are helpful in determining who's following you and what type of messaging should you use. For those who have youth serving organizations and have youth following your organizations, this is so helpful to determine where they're coming from. If you need to expand programs into certain areas, you know, this is very, very helpful information. So that's one fact-finding tip for your followers. The next one is Twiriot. Yeah, you can click on that. So Twiriot gives you the best times to tweet. So you can actually figure out who's paying attention to you and who's reading your tweets and who's retweeting those and what is your best time of day. You would be surprised probably when you think you're popular. So a lot of organizations get a lot of hits overnight because people are at home, they're catching up on work or whatever the case may be. So you may want to use a platform that sends out an auto tweet overnight for your people that are reading and catching up on things. So Twiriot is good for that. It's free. You can go in and sign up with your Twitter account. It will tell you your organization's optimal times to tweet. The next little piece is Razor Social. This website is awesome. So go to the tools directory. Ian Cleary is the founder of Razor Social. He's the social media guru that I referenced early. If you are trying to figure out what tools to use to figure out anything about your social media practices, he's created a free tool where you can look and search for whatever. So you can go to all categories and scroll down and pick one. So you're interested in the platform Facebook. And if you go down, all of the tools that help try to figure out what's happening with your demographic around trending, it lists if it has a cost, it lists if it has a free option if it's available. So if you're looking to figure out ways to maximize who follows you or who you're trying to follow, this website is awesome for that. Go to the tools directory and sign up for some of these cool tools. Every tool is not going to work for everybody, which is the reason why I didn't want to go through all of them. You're going to have to do a little bit of work on your own, but at least this site is very helpful for at least identifying and providing a catalog at least, and categorization of what's out there and what's available. And he's pretty current because, again, when APIs change, backface functions change on these applications, sometimes applications that were created don't work anymore. So it's pretty good about pulling ones that don't work because something changed in the code down so that you have current options. So that's Razor Social. Nutshell Mail. This is very cool. So what Nutshell does is it provides you a free email summary of your social media activity. So you can basically put all the things that you use and link it on this site, and it will run this crazy detailed report with graphs and colors, and I mean, it's really nice, especially for those who are responsible for providing social media information to funders or to board members or whatever the case may be. It sends you this cool email with it already done. So Nutshell Mail, sign up for it, put all your stuff on there. It's free, and it will send you an email, and you can determine how often you want it. Under the free category, I think you can get a couple of reports done a month, versus if you pay for it, you can go in there maybe every day or whatever the case may be. So I recommend Nutshell Mail as well. So, activity time. Yay, I've talked enough. Thank you, Jesus. Who's following you and who do you follow? If you have a Facebook account or a Twitter account or an Instagram account, I want you to take the time now to look to see if you can identify very easily through you who's following you or who you follow, what is the trend. See if there is a trend. So we're going to give you 5 minutes to just kind of look whatever platform that you're on. And for those who don't have a platform, I can show you my platform and we can decide together who's following me. I don't know. I haven't looked lately. Hopefully nobody crazy. So take about 5 minutes and then we're going to do some share out because we want to see your.
If you want one more tool,